Thank you. Dr. Fine, you mentioned the other day about doing Kriya on the seam. So it's going to be relevant to today's sugya. Something you said has relevance for yesterday and also for today.
Okay.
So, get on the daf. It's the top of daf Chavav. Is that true? Chavav. So Tana Rabbana on top line. These are the trio, the tears, the rips that are not allowed to be repaired. We said that there's a professional repair that's called the Ichui, Aleph Ches, Yud, and these are those that are not allowed to be repaired. And is it critical? Yeah, just tell me next time. That's the thing. So we said by other krovim it's allowed to be ichui after 30 days, but by Abba v'imo not. We've had that before, and now the Gemara is going to say others that also are not allowed to be masache. Hakari al Abba v'alimo val ravo shalim do Torah. It's a list of 10 things over here. If you 10 or 11, if you say Abba v'imo is 2, so it comes out to be 11. Hakari al Abba v'alimo val ravo shalim do Torah. I'll just read it all. Val nasi, val avezdin, val shmua saros, val birkas Hashem, val sefer Torah shenisraf. Yehuda, Mikdash, Yerushalayim. A list of places where you're supposed to tear, Kriya, and also that they're never allowed to be repaired. The Gemara is going to say in the bottom line that the sholel is mutter, which means like a loose stitching, which is mutter to have it somewhat held together, but it's not allowed to be by a tailor that would be repaired in a professional way. So the ones that it says are about a father for a mother, another krovim will be mutter, we said after 30 days. Rabbi Shalom the Torah. Agav the Gemara said that the sholel alter, that by a rebbe, even though it's not on one hand, it's never allowed to be professionally prepared, but sholel is even right away, not even wait for shiva. Al nasi al abezdin, when everybody's supposed to tear kriya when the nasi dies and when the abezdin dies. Shmua saros, which the Gemara is going to talk about. What does it mean? Bad news. We'll see the bad news. What kind of bad news is it talking about? Birchas Hashem. If somebody hears the name of Hashem being blessed, and that's a euphemism. It means the opposite. It means cursed, but it doesn't want to write it like that. So if someone hears that, he's supposed to tear kriya. I'll say for Torah shenisraf. I think it means when he sees a sefer Torah that's being burnt, that was burnt. We'll see details about that also. Val Yehuda, Val Mikdash, Val Yerushalayim. And also on these three, Or Yehuda, when there's Bechor Bana, when you see it that it's destroyed, the cities of Yehuda. I don't know why my Chavrush asked. I don't know the answer. Why Dafka Or Yehuda? How about Or Yisrael? Or Yehuda is only Yehuda. The rest of the 10 Shvatim is Or Yisrael. Why is it Dafka Or Yehuda, not Or Yisrael? Is that so? I don't know why it should be different.
I mean, I don't know.
Okay, that's the question. Is it Dafka or Lav Dafka? Does it mean the pasuk that's going to bring is talking about Yehuda because that's what it was talking about in the pasuk? We'll see. But is it coming Lafuke and Or Yisrael, not only Or Yehuda? What should be the difference? No, Yerushalayim is one city, but Or Yehuda is the south of Eretz, the whole south of Eretz Yisrael. The whole south from Yerushalayim southward is mostly Yehuda. There's also Shimon that was down south, but that's all Yehuda. And the 10 Shvatim, the rest of them were either Eva Yarden or top in the north.
I know this is a fair thing to say, but all the Ari Yisrael became immediately attached to Avodah Zarah.
That's not a reason at all.
And they closed up their boundaries to the Beit Mikdash.
What does it have to do with that? They got less kedusha because of that.
I don't know what happened there, but something.
Do you find any place that Yehuda has more kedusha than the tension than the north? Yehuda and Golgol, there's a certain place that Yehuda has more kedusha.
No, only because of the proximity of the base of Mikdash.
So we don't know. We don't know. We just know. So I'm surprised. I don't know, and I didn't look into it. If the Gemara means that Yehuda, not Yisrael, I don't know. So it says if he sees Or Yehuda b'chobonon or Mikdash, the base of Mikdash b'chobonon, or Yerushalayim b'chobonon, so he tears kriya for all these. And the Gemara is going to say sometimes he's okay. We'll see the details on the bottom of the page. We'll see it soon. Just to point out that b'chobonon doesn't just mean that it's physically destroyed. If you see Arabs that are populating it and they're living and it's built up, that's called that as b'chobonon. If it's not occupied by Jews, that's called b'chobonon. If it doesn't make a difference if it's physically built up on the Arabs. On the contrary, that's the churban that the goyim are there. So that also would be a time that a person would have to tear kriya when he sees Or Yehuda that are populated by goyim.
Or Yudis, Yerushalayim, Plimius of Yerushalayim.
So you're saying Yerushalayim also, Yerushalayim B'Chabana also doesn't, so Yerushalayim B'Chabana doesn't mean that it only has destroyed houses. It means that if it's not populated by Jews, even if they're goyim, that's called Yerushalayim B'Chabana. So a person is supposed to tear kriya when he sees that. That's the list of things that are Krom Shem Mesachem. Before the Bryce ends off, it says Korei al Mikdash and Mosef al Yerushalayim. When it says about the last two things, Mikdash and Yerushalayim, so it says that it doesn't have to be a special kriya, another kriya. He tears on the base of Mikdash and then he just adds on. He extends the kriya. It means that he makes the kriya bigger. The same tear he makes bigger. We'll see the details of that Allah on the bottom of the page. But there's such a thing called hosafa, that it's not a new tear, but it's a addition. It adds on to the tear. It makes it a bigger tear. That's the end of the Bryce, and the rest of the page is going to be elaborating on the details of the source, how you know all these things.
Where does the Bryce end? What words?
Yerushalayim, but not the first Al Yerushalayim. After most of Al Yerushalayim. Now the Gemara goes through the list, and I just highlighted in yellow the titles, and then the rest of it is going to be the psukim that we learn out from or other details. And how do you know that a person is supposed to tear kriya on the death of his father or mother or Rebbe? Because it says, this is when Elio was taken away from Elisha. It says he and he saw him being lifted up to the heavens. So it says that Elisha saw and he was cried out, my father, the chariot of Yisrael and its horsemen. And the more dash is that to be that he was saying about Elio Navi, that he's like his father and his mother and his Rebbe. What?
We discussed this. That the Rebbe is like a father, right?
We discussed that a person is supposed to tear kriya on his Rebbe, but I don't know that it's said about his father. I don't know. I'm not sure.
That was my idea, that I thought that the Rebbe is like a father in terms of Allah.
Over there, we saw that there were differences. We said that sometimes there are differences. We just said recently that on a father, he's never allowed to, he can't be sholel until after Shloshim, and by Rebbe, he can be sholel right away. There are differences. But here it says that there's a drasha to learn out that a father and a mother and a Rebbe, because Elisha was calling out about Elio, and he called him three titles: Avi, Rechav Yisrael Parashav. So the Gemara says Avi is Abba the Imo, and Rechav Yisrael Parashav is Rabbi Shalom the Torah. And those that, since it says that he compared him to those three things, the Gemara didn't finish the drush yet. We have to learn a little bit further at the end of the pasuk where it's going to say that like you see highlighted a couple of lines later, and that means when he saw Elio being taken away, so he tore kriya. And here it says he called him his father, his mother. It doesn't say his mother, but in the drush it says his father, his mother, and his Rebbe. How do you know? Where do you see in the mashmor of the Rechav Yisrael Parashav that's referring to Rebbe? Kedem Rav Yosef, like Rav Yosef said over the Targum, on this pasuk of Avi Rechav Yisrael Parashav, it says Rabbi, the top lonely Yisrael with Slosei Meritzichin Ufarashin, that my Rebbe, my teacher, that is good to Am Yisrael in his prayer, with his prayer, like chariots and horsemen. That accomplishment that Elio would do with his prayer was the same as would be. It's even better to Am Yisrael than having a big army of tanks and horsemen, chariots and horsemen. So here the Gemara says that the Rabbi seems to be comparing Elio Navi to his Rebbe, so that is the end of the pasuk that says that the Rebbe is like chariots. So that's the drasha to say that a person is supposed to tear kriya. How do you see tear kriya? The Gemara just says, "V'lo mesachem and Allah." How do you know that it's not supposed to be prepared? It means the Gemara really means the pasuk right away that it means that he tore kriya. Or else he wouldn't say anything about kriya. Just see Avi that he referred to Elio Navi as his father, his mother, and his Rebbe. But you have to say at the end of the pasuk that says that he tore kriya. But the Gemara wants to darshan. How do you know that also it's not allowed to be repaired ever? The Gemara brought this pasuk earlier when they wanted to darshan about that it's supposed to be kamisafa, that's supposed to be a tear which is noticeable, that it shouldn't be an unnoticeable one. But here the Gemara is going to darshan a different drasha. It says he held on, he seized his begadim and he tore them into two tears. Now the pasuk over the Gemara says a gersa over here that's a little difficult. We'll say what it says, but then we'll say a different gersa, makes it a little bit easier. It didn't have to say the word Shnaim. It could have said, I would have known that it's into two pieces. Why does it say Shnaim? That it should be forever like that. But this is a little hard because the Gemara before used that drash to say that that's supposed to be noticeable two pieces, but it didn't say that it's supposed to be forever. Here the Gemara throws in la'olam. How do you see la'olam? How do you see in the pasuk it's supposed to be forever? So there's a different girsa which is in Sanhedrin. This Gemara is also in Sanhedrin, Daf Samach, and over there it's a different girsa. Over there it says the drash is not from the word shnaim. The drash is from the last word kroim. He held on to his begadim and he tore it into two kroim, two pieces of two torn pieces. And the drash is, why does it have to say kroim? If it says shnaim, I know that it's two kroim. Why does it have to say kroim? To say that it's supposed to be forever kroim. It's supposed to forever be torn. So that's a better girsa to say what the drash was. The Gemara finishes off this point. There's nothing to do about his Rebbe dying, about the Eliyahu didn't die. The father, the mother, the Rebbe, the Eliyahu didn't die. Since he didn't see him anymore, it doesn't make a difference if Eliyahu didn't die. If he was taken away from him permanently, that means that he's dead. As far as Elisha is concerned, that means that he doesn't see him in this world anymore. So that's why he tore, and it has a din of kriya on a mace. And that's what we learn now. So we finished the first three, that on a father and a mother and a Rebbe, a person is supposed to tear, and it's not supposed to be repaired. We learn out from Elisha that referred to Eliyahu as his father, his mother, and his Rebbe. And he tore, and it never repaired it. Is that good?
Is that the din?
That's the din, yes.
Also for Rebbe.
Yes.
Rebbe also.
Why does say a difference? That's Shol Alton, that he is allowed to amateur stitching. He's allowed to make that's allowed to do right away for a father and a mother only after 30 days.
Brothers and sisters, other relatives, so you have to raise.
Yeah. There's kriya. It's going to be kriya other krovim also, but it's going to be only a tefach. It's not going to be as much, and also Shol Lachashiva, Ma'acher Achashloshim, and the father and mother is never allowed to be repaired. The next halacha also is going to do three together. Nasi, Abbezdin, and Shmuas Rosh. It's going to be a pasuk that's going to show that a person is supposed to tear kriya for the Nasi that dies, not like a king, a Nasi. Abbezdin, we don't have, I don't think Abbezdin nowadays, but it's supposed to be an Abbezdin. And Shmuas Rosh is bad news. All three, the Gemara is going to elaborate what they mean. And it brings one pasuk that's going to say all three. This is the Siv. Vayachazek David b'Begadav, Vayikreim, V'gam kol anashim asher ito, Vayispadu, Vayivku, Vayitzumu ad ha'erev, Al Shaul, Val Yonasan Beno, Valam Hashem, Val Beis Yisrael Kinaflu B'Chorev. That's when the news came to David that Am Yisrael fell in the war against the Plishtim, and Shaul died, Yonasan died, and the whole nation fell by the sword. Doesn't mean that everyone got killed, but they lost the war and they fell by, and many people died. So the Gemara dashes from this thing, it says Shaul and Yonasan and Am Hashem. Shaul is the Nasi. Shaul was the king, so that's what we said that the Nasi. A person has to. He says he tore by what does it say? By Yikraim, that he and all the people they tore the begadim. Shaul was referred to the Nasi. Yonasan is Av Bezdin. We don't know from other places, but here it says that Yonasan was Av Bezdin. We didn't know that. Alam Hashem al Beis Yisrael. That's referring to Shmuas Ruas. What's the bad news? That was the bad news that Am Yisrael lost the war, and many people were killed.
Interesting that Jonathan was his best friend, and Shaul was his enemy.
But that's not the point, right?
So he got first call.
The king, the best
right?
friend,
He's the king, but he. Okay.
Yeah. Amalei Rav Ashval Rav Kana. If this is the pasuk, so maybe the kriya is only when all three things happen. Maybe if the king and the Bezdin and Amashesh Mosros, then there's a din kriya. How do you know that there's a din kriya on each one individually? Amalei al hifsikayin. Since it says each time al Shaul, al Yonasan, al Amashem. If it would have said al Shaul, Yonasan, Amashem, then he might have said all three of them together. But since it says al each time, so it divides it. Each one has a reason to tear on its own. The Marsakasha umikarin Shmuel's Rosh. Is that so that a person is supposed to tear kriya when he has bad news? There was bad news, and Shmuel didn't tear. Shmuel katal Shmuel Malka trace Alpha Yudah b'Mezigas Kesari v'Lokora. They told Shmuel that the Persian king Shvar Malka, King Sheba, he killed 12,000 Jews in some episodes. Mezigas Kesari. Kesari is Kesari, Caesarea. What Mezigas is, I don't know. Anybody say it? Rashi, Mezigas? Doesn't say. So I don't know what it is. So he killed 12,000 Jews, and Shmuel didn't tear kriya. So the Gemara answers, it's only if it happens something to the most of the nation on a national level. Even 12,000 Jews is a lot of Jews. But each Jew is a lot, but 10, 12,000. But that's not enough. It has to be something it seems to be a national point. Like here, talk about the army. The army of Am Yisrael, even though it doesn't mean that most of the Jews were in the army, but it means that that's something that's called the Tzibur. The Tzibur fell before the Plishtim. That's the time, that's called the Shmor. The most the side point, is it true that Shvar Malka killed 12,000 Jews? Umi Katal Shvar Malka Yudoi, did kill any Jews? Probably Shvar Malka Lishmuel, Tasili, the Lokal Yudi Meolam. That Shvar Malka said that I deserve credit because I never killed a Jew. So he was a good king. The more says Hashem Inu Gamilan Avshayu, that was their own fault. It means they did something that seemed like a rebellion, and that's why. It means that Shvar Malka said that I never killed a Jew for no reason. But if they rebelled, so then it wasn't his fault. The Amr Abami Lakal Yiseri de Muzikas Kesari Pakashua de Lutkia. I don't know what this is referring to, but as something Rashi seems to say, that Yiseri means the strings of a kinor, that they were playing a lot of music and so loud that the wall of Lutkia could have broken down. So I don't know what it means, but they were playing music, and that somehow was a rebellion. It was showing that they were happy about. I don't know. It doesn't. We're missing some information about the history, what happened over there. But the Gemara says that it was their fault that they brought on the anger of the king, and it was some kind of a rebellion. I don't see in the words what you see the rebellion, and Yiseri Rashi says that it means the sounds of the kinor. Yiseri is like the yater, the strings of the kinor. I don't know what it means that there was a rebellion over there from the words, but that's what it seems, and it says that it was their own. They brought it upon themselves, but it wasn't. But the Gemara doesn't say that's the reason why not to tear kriya. The reason not to tear kriya because it wasn't a national tragedy. A national tragedy is that's when the Shmuas was Rov Tzibur. I don't think it means that Rov Tzibur had to die, but I think my impression is that it means something that has to do with the whole Tzibur, the whole Tzibur of Am Yisrael as a nation, not as a city or community. So that was the source to learn out that no, it's Nasi Abezin and Shmuas Rosh that a person's supposed to tear, and the Gemara later on is going to say, how do you know? I think the Gemara is going to later on come back to how do you know that it's not allowed to be repaired either. That the Gemara didn't prove over here yet.
Okay, so I'm just thinking about that. I always thought when on Pigua you make a kriya. Now see that you don't make kriya.
So I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that's called Rov Tzibur. That means that my point is, I'm trying to suggest, I don't know, that maybe the point is that when it's a national thing, when they pogea in the nation, if it was
so you're saying even if one person's killed in a Pigua, it's
if it was
right
that's it. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't think that the Gemara means to say that it has to be that Rov of Am Yisrael died. I don't know if that over there by the Plishtim that the majority of Am Yisrael died. I think the point was over there that it was the army of Am Yisrael. The army that's represented the Am Yisrael is the whole Am Yisrael. So I don't know if there's a Pigua against Am Yisrael and some people. So I don't know what to say. I don't know what halacha would be. The next thing that it says in the Bryce was Birchas Hashem. If somebody hears,
Rabbi, sorry, what about the morning we do for Rabbi Akiva's Talmidim? Is that different than tearing kriya, even though we still do it so far later?
I think so. Yeah, it's different than kriya. And over there also, just point out that there's no Gemara on that. There's a minhag that just point out the Rambam doesn't even mention it. The minhagim of Sfira that doesn't say in the Gemara. It's a minhag mu'char, and over there, there's probably going to be something that's relevant to us nowadays. It isn't because of history or once upon a time. I think the Mepharshim talk about that it's because of the Torah that's lacking that we have, because we're missing. It's something that's relevant to us nowadays also, I think. I can't say for sure. I didn't look into it enough, but that's what my impression that I got.
In Gush Katif, people did kriya.
That's surely, that's going to be Are Yehuda Bechor Bana. Yeah. Hashem should return it to us and all of our Eretz Yisrael. Al Berachas Hashem. If somebody hears the blaspheming of Hashem's name, Menolan, how do you see that there's a din to tear kriya? Dechsiv. Vayavo el Yokim ben Chilkiyo Asher al Abois v'shev nasofer v'yok ben asaf hamaskir el Chitzkiyo k'rei begodim. Over there, it's talking about when the representatives of Am Yisrael, the three people that went out to discuss with Rav Shaki. Rav Shaki was the general of Sancheriv, and he blasphemed. What was the blasphemy over there? That he said that how could your God save any better than any of the other gods of the nations that I conquered? And that's considered blasphemy. And they tore them. They came to Chizkiyo with the torn garments. Why is that? Because they heard that blasphemy. The Pasuk Shah and the Pasuk, you might say that they were torn because they heard that he's coming to make war now. But the Gemara is saying the reason is because they heard that Birchas Hashem.
Birchas Hashem?
Birchas Hashem, that's what we're up to now. Yes.
But why do you call it Birchas Hashem? They truly come with Kalel.
That's what I mean. Yeah, of course.
It's
of course. Yeah, yes. So, not only the person who hears the Birchas Hashem, even the person who hears from the one who heard. It means when the Eidim testify what they heard, so even though they're only saying over what they heard, they're not doing it, chas v'shalom, but also the person who hears has to tear kriya on that also. But the Edom themselves who are staying over, the Edom testify, the Edom would come to testify that somebody said Birchas Hashem, cursed the name. So then they're going to kill the person. The person who's no Kev Shem Hashem, you must. He's going to be killed. But the Edom have to testify. So the people who hear, the other people, the Sanhedrin who hears the testimony, they have to tear Kriya. But the Edom themselves, they're saying over, they hear themselves saying what they're saying. They don't have to tear again because they already tore. The Gemara Kasha. Why is that a reason not to tear? Hakashami Ashta, they heard it again now from themselves. The Gemara says no, there's a drush from Pasuk, Lo Salkadaitach Dasir, Vayikishmo Melech Chizkiyo, Vayikra Es Begadov. Over there it says that these three people, El Yokim ben Chilkiyo and Shevna Sofer and Yoach, they came and they told Chizkiyo what Rav Shoki had said. They said over the blaspheming that he had said. And it says the king tore. So here you see Hashomeya, Mipi Hashomeya. But it says Amelach Korah, V'hem Lo Koru. They didn't tear a second time. They came already Kruay Begadim, but they didn't tear a second time. So you see, there's no din to hear if they already tore. So the Gemara first says, and as far along we wouldn't know it, but it's a pasuk. The Gemara says, "V'lo Masachin Menal." And how do you know on this kriya that it's not supposed to be repaired? Asya kriya. The Gemara was going also on the Gemara before by David, also by Nasiya, Bezdin, and Shmuel. The Gemara over there didn't discuss. How do you know that it's not supposed to ever be repaired? So the Gemara means there's going to be a Gzera Shava kriya. We said before by the first drasha. Over there is going to be the drasha that says Shnaim Kruaim. That was the drasha that we learned now that it's supposed to be permanent, and now we learn out all these other kriyas with Gzera Shava that they're also not supposed to be repaired. The drasha, the Gemara continues. Sefer Torah Shenisra. Also, Sefer Torah that got burnt. Also, the person is supposed to tear kriya. How do you know? The Chsiv. Vayich kikro Yehudi shalosh dal sosvar ba'ab yikroeh b'tara sofer v'ashlech Elohesh asher alach. Over there, it's talking about that Yirmiyah. He wrote Eicha, and he was and he according to the Drash at least, and he gave that to Baruch ben Neriah to go to the Beis Hamikdash and to announce all of the prophecies that are going to happen to Am Yisrael about Chorban is coming. Over there it says they took it to the king, and his name was Yehudi. Yehudi doesn't mean a Jew. Yehudi is the name of the Jew. His name was Yehudi, and it says that he took it, and he was the one who read it before the king. The king's name was Yehoiakim. He was a Russia, and he's going to ignore, and he's going to be the one. He over there it says that he tore up the sefer, and we're going to learn out, and he burnt it. And over there it says that people should have torn kriya. That's going to be the drash, but the Gemara puts in a couple of lines about the drasha over there. It says over there when he heard 3 or 4 dalasos. Dalasos is what we call like a stanza, different psukim. And as he heard it, as the one who read it, so the king, Yehoiakim, he tore it with a razor, Tara Sofer, and he threw it into the fire that was in the fireplace. The Ach is a fireplace. So the Gemara darshans, why was he waited 3 or 4 psukim, like as if to say, there's a reason why 3 or 4 psukim, that's what bothered him. And the Gemara is going to say that it's the 5th pasuk which bothered him. What does it mean to say 3 or 4 psukim? So the Gemara is going to elaborate about the story that they told Yehoiakim, the king, that Yirmiyah wrote the Sefer Kinos, which is a Eicha, which is a prophecy about the tragedies that are going to befall Am Yisrael if they don't do tshuva. So he asked, what did it say? And the Gemara is going to say, he said Pasuk Aleph, Pasuk Beis, Pasuk Gimel, Pasuk Daled, and he wasn't impressed. How is it going to happen? How did it happen? Whoa, that it happened that Yerushalayim, which was Rabbos Yam, now it became to be in solitude. So he wasn't impressed. Nothing's going to happen. Say this, even if it happens, but I'm the king. So if it happens to Yerushalayim, is going to be desolate. It's not my business. He doesn't care about that. They told him another pasuk Beis, that crying at night, also about destruction of Yerushalayim. Also on Amalka, I'm a king. He didn't care. They're going to get, Am Yisrael is going to go into Golas. And Amalka, I'm the king. It's not going to happen to me. I can see on Avelos that the roads are going to be desolate. Also, on Amalka doesn't apply to me. So the first 4 psukim didn't care about. But then the 5th pasuk, how you saw that the enemies became the leaders. That means that he's not going to be the leader. It means that now talking about the king already. That the king is going to be dethroned and the enemies are going to take over. Then he got upset. Who said that? Who said this nevuah? Means who's the one who gave you this prophecy? So they said Hashem. That Hashem is the one who's Hoga. Hoga, I think, means to bring agony. Hashem is the one who said it's going to happen because of the sins. So then he took out all the names of Hashem. Kada means to make a whole. It means he took out the names of Hashem from this scroll, the Sarfan Beish, and he burnt it. So this is going to be that the pasuk says that he he tore it, he tore it with a razor, and the Gemara says it means he took out the names of Hashem and he burnt it in the fire. So this is going to be like the Sefer Torah. Agav, it's not Dafka Sefer Torah. It means the name of Hashem, not Dafka. The Gemara is going to say here that it's not Dafka Sefer Torah. It will be the Megillah Seicha. Also, that's the reason to tear kriya if it's burned. And the pasuk over there says that when the king did this, so it says that the people, he and the people were not scared, they didn't tear their clothing. The pashut is they should have torn their clothing because of the prophecy. But not Gemara's Nashni that they should have torn their clothing because of what the king did, that he threw the scroll into the fire. They should have torn their clothing, and you see that on Torah Sefer Torah Nisraf, whoever sees it is supposed to rent his clothing. He asked maybe the pashut shot over there. Maybe the pashut shot is because of the bad news that's going to happen. That's why they should have torn their clothing, not because of the Sefer Torah of the scroll that was burnt. Amalei Abaye answered Papa Shmos was Bahishaitim Mihavu. It didn't happen yet. It's a prophecy that's going to happen in the future if they don't do tshuva, but that wouldn't be a reason to tear because the prophecy said it's going to happen. It's not the Pashup shot, but the Gemara says on the drash level that wouldn't be a reason to tear, and therefore the tearing their begadim was because they saw the burning of Hashem's name, and that should be a reason to tear. When a person sees a Sefer Torah that's torn, not only burnt, torn, also he has to tear 2 times. One for the parchment and one for the writing. Both there are two points, 2 kriyos. Over there, what it's talking about that episode that King Yoakim, he tore the Sefer, he burnt it. So it says that after he burnt the scroll and the words, the fact that it divides it into 2, so it means there are 2 issues that deserve to be torn about the kriya. One is for the words, one is for the scroll. Gemara says a story. They were sitting. They changed the word now to, I forgot what the word is changed to. I think, come Rabbi Abba, Ba'alafnuye. So Baba, he had to use the restroom. He took off his tefillin that he had to go to the shivutim. He put it on like a pillow. He put it down. And an ostrich came and almost swallowed it. Omar, it says over there also, there's another gear said that the other one saved it. Afuna Barchia saved the tefillin, but it almost got swallowed up. Omar, he said, I almost would have been chayv 2 kriyas if the tefillin would have been swallowed by the ostrich. Then I would have to tear 2 kriyas like a Sefer Torah. Agav, you see again, that's not that a Sefer Torah. It's any kind of a kisvei kodesh that it would have been destroyed. He would chayv 2 kriyas. Amalei min alachad. So he told him back that it's not true. That even if it would have got destroyed, it's not a din to tear kriya, because I had such a story similar that the tefillin, whatever, almost got destroyed or did get destroyed. And I came to ask Rav Matana, he didn't know, but then I came to Rav Yehuda and he told me that Shmuel said that it's only when it was done forcefully, bizroa. Means the story that we said here about Yoakim that he threw the scroll, it was done intentionally for the purpose of being mevazeh the scroll. That's when we say that a Sefer Torah shenisr. It doesn't mean if it happened by mistake. If it happened by accident, that's not a reason to tear kriya. I mean, of course, it's a terrible tragedy, but it's not the tragedy that we tear. We tear when it's done with like a blaspheming way that someone comes and he tears it because he wants to be mevazeh the sefer. That's when there's a din kriya. And tefillin also, someone will do it intentionally, but if it's done by accident and he doesn't mean it, then and the ostrich came, that wouldn't be a reason to tear kriya. The Brisa continued about Ari Yehuda and the Mikdash and Yerushalayim. It's not going to say source for everything. It's just going to say a source about Ari Yehuda. It's Minalan the Chsiv Vayavo and Nashim B'Shchem u'Mishilo u'Mishomron Shmonish Mugolchei Zakan v'Kurei v'Gadim u'Mizgodadim u'Minchol u'Vanav Yadam Lavi Beis Hashem. Over there, it's talking about after Gedaliah ben Achikam, after the Churban, Gedaliah ben Achikam was also assassinated by Yishmael ben Nesanel, and over there it says Nesania, and over there it says that people didn't know about it. People didn't know about the Churban. They came from Shechem, Shiloh, and Shomron. It's 80 people that their hair was torn and the beard, and they were rented garments. That's what we're focusing on. And they came as godadim, that they had scraped their skin in tsar, and they were bringing mincha levona to bring to the house of Hashem. It's interesting that they didn't hear about the Churban yet. That's what I'm referring to in the pasuk over there, that the Beis Mikdash was destroyed on Tisha B'Av, but they didn't hear about it. This is already after Tishrei. This is already after Gedaliah ben Achikam was killed, after in the seventh month. And these people, they still didn't hear about it, and they were coming to bring Mincha Lavona to a korban in the Beis Hashem, and they were rent their garments. Why did they tear their begadim? It must be because they saw the Or Yehuda on the way that were destroyed. So you see that a person is supposed to tear his begadim because he sees Or Yehuda in their destruction. And that's the Gemara's end. It doesn't talk about the special pasuk to talk about the Mikdash and Yerushalayim, and that doesn't bring psukim for. But the Brisa did end off Or Yehuda, Mikdash and Yerushalayim is a din to tear a kriya. Amr Rab Chelbo, Amr Ula Bima, Amr Rab Lazar, Or Yehuda b'Chobanan. It's going to bring a pasuk over here. Just look at the green highlight. The pasuk goes, Abi Kachachal Midbar, Sion Midbar Hayasa, Beis Kashen V'Sefatenu Asher Lucha V'Seinu Hayin L'Srefa Seish, V'Chol Machmadenu Hayol L'Chol. This is a pasuk. These are psukim. The pasuk is in Yeshaya 64, and the pasuk reads that your holy cities became a wilderness, a desert. Sion became a midbar, also became a midbar, and our holy house and our glory that our fathers praised you in it became burned by the fire, and all of our delights became ruins. That's the pasuk. And the Gemara says that it's referring to three things. Ari Kachacha is the Ari Yehuda, Yerushalayim is Yerushalayim, of course, and Beis Kashen V'Sefatenu was the Beis HaMikdash. And it says that when a person sees these three things, he's supposed to say the pasuk and tear kriya. So again, Ari Yehuda b'Choban and Omer, the person says the following four words: Ari Kachacha Midbar, and he tears kriya. When he tears kriya, he should say this pasuk: Ari Kachacha Midbar, and then he should tear kriya. If he sees Yerushalayim b'Choban, what does he say? Sion Midbar Hayasa. And then, I'm sorry. This also should have been. I made a mistake. I didn't highlight enough. This is also part of the pasuk. Yerushalayim Shemama.
3 words. Sion
Five words. I didn't do it well. Sion Midbar Hayasa Yerushalayim Shemama.
Oh, 5.
That's what he should. Then he said. Then the Korea. And if he sees the Beis Hamikdash b'Choban, then he says that the next pasuk. Beis Kashen V'Sefatenu Asher Lucha V'Seinu Hayu L'Srefa Seish V'Chol Machmadenu Hayu L'Chorba. And then he's correct. So it says there's a din kriya on all 3 of days. It only brought a pasuk before about Or Yehuda that they passed by Or Yehuda and they were torn begadim. It wasn't for the Beis Hamikdash. They weren't in Yerushalayim. They went by the Beis Hamikdash, but they tore because they saw the Or Yehuda. But the Gemara doesn't say how you know that you're also supposed to tear for Yerushalayim and the Beis Hamikdash. Maybe it goes without saying, and it just tells you which psukim a person should say when he does see these things. The Brisa ended off at the top of the page. The Brisa said, after the Brisa, it said we put in parentheses as a side point, that there's a din to be Mosif. It doesn't have to be another kriya. It doesn't be Osaf. It just can extend the kriya that he did already before. And then Marsa Kasha, here this the mission the Brisa before said just Mosif. He doesn't have to do another kriya. He just makes the kriya bigger.
Where was the first kriya?
He tore on the Mikdash. He saw the Beis Hamikdash and he tore.
And
now it says, then he sees Yerushalayim. And then he doesn't.
He was born in Yerushalayim.
So the Gemara is going to talk about it. We'll see soon. And then he's Mosef. He makes the kriya bigger. He doesn't have to do another kriya.
Right.
A second kriya just makes that kriya
But
bigger.
we said that earlier on. Also, Mosif. I was thinking it was to do with he was an Avel, and then he saw Churban.
I'm not sure what you're referring to. Where do we say? Where do we
The
say?
parents, maybe.
We had something similar before where it says he's Mosif.
I don't recall. It's going to be a lot of it on the Amid Beis, but maybe we had it that I forgot.
Yes,
I don't remember that we had it.
You did have something.
Just a little while ago.
We had about being Mosef?
Yeah.
Well, different craving you could make it.
I think.
Yeah,
because
That says over there you can't fix
See if I can
up.
find it.
It's going to be Amid Beis. It's going to be today's Gemara on Amid Beis. I don't recall that we had it. If we had it, then I forgot. But it's going to be Amid Beis. We'll have it soon. So here the Gemara's kasha is that the Brisa before says that it just has to be Mosef. There talks about not only seeing the Chorban, if he hears it. I guess hears means B'Shas Maisa. When it happened at the time, if they would have heard about it also, he would have torn from Sofim. Sofim is the place where you could see Yerushalayim. And if he sees it, also he's Korea. Also it says Shomei alone also. Now it says, the point that Gemara is asking is a steer. Here it says Korea Mikdash B'Fnei Atzma, Val Yerushalayim B'Fnei Atzma. It has to be a separate kriya for each one. It's not just to be Mosif. You can't just make the tear bigger. It has to be a separate kriya for the Mikdash and for Yerushalayim. The Brisa before said Mosif is good enough. That's a contradiction. Lo kasha. Other part of Mikdash B'Reish, other part of Yerushalayim B'Reish. Depends which one he met first. If he came to the Beis HaMikdash first and then Yerushalayim, then he's only Mosif on Yerushalayim. He doesn't do another kriya, because Yerushalayim is less of a destruction than the Beis HaMikdash. But if he first came to Yerushalayim and he was Korea in Yerushalayim, so then it's not enough just to be Mosif for the Mikdash. Then he has to make a whole new kriya. So this brisa that said that Bifnei Atzma meant Koreal Mikdash Bifnei Atzma, Yerushalayim Bifnei Atzma would be not in that order. He saw Yerushalayim first, then he tore on Yerushalayim, then he saw the Beit Hamikdash Chorev. He does another whole kriya. But if he saw the Mikdash first before he saw Yerushalayim, so then he would then make a kriya on the Mikdash, and then when he saw Yerushalayim b'Churbanah, then he would just add on to it. So how is it possible to see the Beit Hamikdash before Yerushalayim? So Rashi has a case that he was in a box, that he didn't see it. Here's the Rashi. Kigon shenichnas liYerushalayim v'shira tevo migdal delava Yerushalayim ha'shua beis hamikdash. But Chavusa told me that you don't. That's very dochak. Rashi says. He says it depends.
In a car, you could be schlopping in a wagon.
So he's saying similar to Rashi. That's similar to Rashi. That he didn't see it. He passed it. Then he didn't see it. That's what Rashi says. And Chavusa said that depends which side you're coming from. If you come from one side, it's true. You come to Yerushalayim first. But if you come to the other side, so you come from the Beis Hamikdash will be first before you come to Yerushalayim. So he said it's not a kasha. Maybe Rashi didn't have the Metzias, but the way we see the Metzias, so it's possible to come to the Beis Hamikdash before you come to Yerushalayim. The Gemara continues to the bottom line.
Rabbi,
Yes, please.
sorry, if you don't see the cloud rising from the Mizbeach, would that be enough? The smoke
I'm not following. To see which smoke?
that always rose from the Mizbeach.
We're talking about the Churban. Why?
But then that's when the smoke stopped. There was no more smoke coming.
The fact that you don't see the smoke?
Yeah, if you don't see the smoke from the Mizbeach, you would know from very far that the Beis Hamikdash is something's wrong.
I would think not. Or maybe at least only the people who had seen it, so then they relate that they see something missing. But we haven't seen it, so I would imagine that's not called seeing the Churban. People do say, I think the postscript say that when you see the dome, even if you don't see the Churban, but that's the Churban. When you see the dome of the rock over there, even if you see from far away, that's called seeing the Churban. You see the Churban by seeing the building over there, the Shikut Shomen.
Would that also apply to any? Sorry, would that also apply to any church that you'd see in the old city, knowing that the two can't coexist?
I think so. When you see in the old city, what's called Yerushalayim b'Churbanah, when you see either the Arab population that are living over there, or if you see the churches that are above the wall, even if you don't see, you know that's a church. So that's called. You see Yerushalayim b'Churbanah. I think so. This goes back to the top line of the brisa, the top line, the bottom line. Before it said, "There's not allowed to be permanently repaired professionally." On that, the brisa says, the next brisa says that, but it is mutter to do a temporary, the amateur kind of repair. And that's called shoulder. We have them many times. Shoulder means like basting, loose kind of a stitch, and has other examples also of how to do some kind of a stitching, which is not a good repair. It says the modulan, the loptan, la sosun kamin. So whatever the point's going to be, the modulan, it says like you hold the material together, the two sides of the tear, and you roll it up in a way that is pretty nice. And the other side, that on one side is rolled up, both of them together. So the other side you'll see like a straight line, but it's not as good as ichoy. That'll be permissible. Loptan also would mean that you hold the two sides together, and you put stitch it. They say it's some kind of a wide thing that is also the two pieces of material maybe don't come together. Somehow it looks like a ladder. But the point is, lo lachosan. That's all that's asur is that he shouldn't do the professional repair that is as good as can be. I think today that'll be whatever a tailor knows how to do. That'll be called lachosan. Rav Chisda over ichoy Alexandri. Like has to be very professional. The Alexandrian repairs, that was the best. I imagine it means today whatever the tailor would do, that's considered the most that it could be repaired. Almost as good as new. Not of course not exactly. You see that they're stitching over there. Alexandria of those times. Tana Rabbana. Okay, now the Gemara goes further. We finished the whole rice with all the explanations, with all the sources, and we go further. That if someone now is going to tear through the stitching, he had a kriya, there was a torn beggar, he tore it for whatever reason. He tore it because for a different kriya, or that it was torn and it was repaired. So if the point's going to be that if it was repaired amateur, so then to tear that is not called that he did a new kriya now, because it was torn even when it was temporarily amateurish fixed. That's not called fixed, so it's not called a kriya now. But if he would tear a professional sewing, that's called he did a kriya now. I would like to refer to what Dr. Fine said yesterday, that when he was in internship, so he did kriya b'tzias neshama on the seam. That's what it says over here. That kriya on the seam, which is professionally sewn, if it would just be sewn back together loosely, that wouldn't be considered tearing it again. But if it was professionally sewn back, so then even on the seam would be considered a good kriya. So that was a correct thing. That's considered a kriya when it's cutting through a seam which was professionally sewn.
Cost them a lot of money.
Once again, it's the same beggar over and over again. That was the point that
Right,
you're saying.
No, I'm not.
Time you had to send it to.
So once again, it says that he's Yosei, the same way I said before, that it's only Yosei to do Ichoi Alexandri. Here was another point, that if he tears through the Ichoi, it's considered a good Kriya, only if it was a professional one.
Is a professional
Right.
stitching.
Once someone did it on the seam and then he closes it up.
You can do it again.
Why?
That's what it says. That's what it says. If he tears through the professional repair, that's good. They tear it again. That's what the Bryce is saying. Now the question is going to be: he takes the beggar which is torn, kriya, and a way that he's not allowed to repair it permanently, professionally, but he turns it upside down. Now he's going to wear it out. Now, not the way it was worn until now. Of course, on Abu Ghadib, you can't just turn it upside down. You can't wear a jacket upside down. But it's kind of a beggar. They're able to make. They send it to the tailor, and they'll make the bottom should be the top should be the bottom. So now the fact that the kriya is on the bottom, maybe now he's allowed to repair it. Tanakama says yes. It's only us to repair while it's still serving in the place where it was on the top of the beggar, near the collar. But the B'Shem Allah is also because still it's the tear that was made for on a thing that he's not allowed to repair. Even if he turned it to be the bottom of the beggar, also he's not allowed to repair it. The next halacha.
It should be even more stringent if it's on the bottom because there's less seam, therefore all the massage.
Well, that's the reason why you say that it's not any more kriya. It's not any more serving. You don't see it as being a kriya anymore. Now it's in the bottom of the beggar. So maybe now he's allowed to repair it. That's what the Tanakh holds. But Shimon Allah says he's not allowed to. The next point: if he sells it to somebody, could the buyer repair it? Even if he sells it to somebody, the buyer is also not allowed to repair it. So if he's selling it to somebody, he has to inform him that this is the kind of a kriya that you're not allowed to fix up. It's amazing that they sold these kind of begadim. Nowadays it goes to the garbage. No one wants it. Even the gemach wouldn't take it nowadays. But in those days they would sell it and he would repair it. So you have to tell him that this is not repairable with an ichui, only repairable as a sholel. You could do some kind of loose stitching, but you can't prepare it professionally. Maybe you want the material, but say that, but you have to tear it up. You can't use it as it is. You can't repair it. Tana Rabbana. Now it goes to talk more about Tosefes. We said that such a thing sometimes to be mosif, that he doesn't have to do a new kriya. He does and then he has to add on another whole tefach. It's enough to add on 3 bows, 3 finger breadths. Tefach is 4 finger breadths, so this is a quarter less. Rav Yehuda Omer Atchilas Kriya Shalosh bows with Tosefes culture. He argues on both things he's making. He says that a kriya doesn't have to be a tefach, it only has to be 3 bows. And when he's only doing the Tosefes, it can be any amount. Any amount is considered Tosefes. He just rips it a little bit, enlarges it a little bit bigger. Just to point out, we had before a couple of times, we said kriya is a tefach. We brought it from B'Yachazek David, Ben Achiz Apachas Mitefach, and that's how we pass it, that it has to be a tefach like Rav Meir. But now, as far as the Tosefes, how much is considered enlarging? So Rav Meir says 3 bows. Rav Yehuda says a culture. As far as how much is kriya, we pass like Rav Meir, that has to be a tefach. It's a chumrah. But as far as how much is considered a Tosefes, we pass like Rav Yehuda. Even a culture was called a Tosefes. So far, it's a combination of Rav Meir and Rav Yehuda. But Taninam Yochi, Yossi Omer, Chilas Kriya Tefach for Tosefes Kolshu. So Yossi holds the chumrah of one and the kula of the other one, and that's how we paskin like Yossi that the kriya has to be a tefach. That's not a tefach is not considered a kriya, but when he's only being mosif on something else, which we said so far about Mikdash in Yerushalayim, so then it has to be only a culture added on to make the rip a little bit bigger. And now the Gemara goes into all kinds of relatives and the halacha about being mosif. Tanu Rabbanan shouldn't happen to anybody. No one should have any kind of reason to be Korea. Tanu Rabbanan Amulo Meisavik the Korah. They told somebody that his father died, so he did kriya, and then they told him Meis no. Then they told him after, then also his son died. So we're going to see later on if it has to be, if it's right away or it might have been later. But then anyway, he has a torn beggar, and now he has to tear kriya again. and Vahosif, and the Gemara is saying that he doesn't have to make a whole new kriya. It will be enough just to be Mosif. And what was a Mosif? We said before, Mashu according to Abuda will be paskin. So he had one kriya that was done because of his father's death, and then he has the additional enlargement of that kriya was because of another relative. So the din is Tachton Masacha, Elvin Masacha. The part that was added on, that's called Tachton, the enlargement. That's allowed to be repaired because it wasn't Shar Krobin. But the beginning, which is the original tear, which was for his father, that's not allowed to be repaired. So it's saying even within one tear alone, it depends which part was done for his father, which one was done for different relatives. The part which was torn because of his father's death, that's not allowed to be repaired. The part which is done for other relatives is allowed to be prepared. In the opposite case, Meis ben Kara and then Meis Abib Hosef, that the opposite order. First, he heard about his son, the son's death in Idor Kriya. Then he heard about his father's death. And also, it says here, Tanakam holds it's enough to be Mosif. He just made the Kriya enlarged, as we said at Mashahu. So then, the part that was done for his father, that's the part that's not allowed to be prepared. Elyon Masacha, the Tachton Ein Masacha, the part that was the original Kriya, that's allowed to be repaired because that was done for Shar Krovim. But the end part, the part which is the deeper part of this, which was done for his father, that's Ein Masacha. So far, it said in the Tanakh, this Tanakhama said that it could be a Tosefet. Just to add on the second relative, no matter if it's a son or a father, there's no difference. And the whole halacha we just pointed out was that the part which was done for his father is not allowed to be repaired. The part which was done for his other relative is allowed to be repaired, even in one kriya alone.
That's the son. In this case,
the example was the son over here. There's no difference. The son and the Krovan. The son is not Muhammad. Only the father and mother are Muhammad as far as these halachas. The Baisa continues also. Meis Aviv, Meis Imo, Meis Achav, Meis Echoso. He heard many things altogether simultaneously. He heard the news about many relatives, including the father and the mother. He only has to tear one time. He doesn't have to be mostly for the one tree of everybody. Omer al Kulan Korea Echad al Aviv al Echad Kara Echad al Evav Alimo Kara Echad. He seems to say that the father and the mother has to have a special kriya, that it can't be that the same kriya which was done for everybody else. And it could be that he's arguing, maybe it seems from the rest of the words over here, there's some difficulty in the words coming up, something here. So it's also, but it seems he's arguing on both halachas. The Tanakhama said that it could be mosif on a father and a mother, even though it's already not a kriya on its own. It could be mosif, and then he seems to, Abu Dhabi seems to arguing and says that he can't just be mosif, he has to make a special kriya. And also on the second halacha that he heard of many relatives simultaneously that died. So Tanakhama says he can make one kriya for everybody. Abu Dhabi says no, it has to be one a special kriya for a father and mother. The fish ain't mosif and al kera abivimo, because the words are a little difficult. I'm not sure what they mean. That he can't ain't mosif and al kera abivimo. The words literally would mean that if the kriya was for his father and mother first, he can't be mosif on that. It's the case where his father died, then he heard about his son, so he can't be mosif on that. It'd have to be a special kriya for the father, and it can't be a tosefet on the son. Even here, that the father was first, and he did a kriya on the father. Even to be mosif on the son, it's not going to be effective on the kriya of his father, because the kriya of the father, as big as it's going to be considered a kriya on the father, even if he adds onto it more. That's what it seems to be. My timer, the gears is a little difficult. This part would mashma a little bit. They can't just be an addition. It has to be a whole kriya on the father. That would be a reason why it can't be the second one. If the first kriya was on his son, and the second kriya is on the father, it can't be just a tosefes. And also on the case about all karech and lekulan, that also that if they all died, you heard about it simultaneously. Also, it sounds like Rabbi Yehuda would argue, and if in the words of Rabbi Yehuda, it sounds like that
it
wouldn't
sounds
be.
like you would have to do a kriya on his parents, one, and then another one on the rest.
Right, or the opposite order. But it has to be a separate kriya. It can't be addition on the kriya of the father, or the kriya of the father can't be in addition to something else that was already done.
You do that different sides.
That's good. Those are minhagim. Those things are not market. I don't remember that there's a gemara about that. I don't think so. But maybe I'm wrong. I think it's only minhagim, but it wouldn't be market surely. Amar Shmuel lochak Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira. He passed like Yehuda ben Beseira was machmir. This thing about the father and the mother that he argues and he says it can't be tosefes, and even if they heard simultaneously, he has to make a special kriya. So Shmuel passed like Yehuda ben Beseira was machmir, and the Gemara is surprised because usually Shmuel is always makel by hilchas avelos. Umiyam Shmuel lachi, the Shmuel say like Yehuda ben Beseira, but Amar Shmuel first white line, halacha kediva makel be'evil. So how come he's being machmir like Yehuda ben Beseira? The Gemara answers avelos lachud the kriya lachud. Hilchas kriya is not under the same category as avelos. And it has its own halachas, and over there the halacha is going to be lechum also, not dafka lekula. When I said the Gemara a few times here, we had halacha k'deva mekel be'evo. I said because it's Rabbanan, that's probably a mistake, because here you see kriya, which is also Rabbanan. Over there you don't say lekula. So probably this halacha of halacha k'divrei mekel be'evel is not because it's rabbanan. It's a special thing that by avelus will be mekel, but not by halachas.
It's more than the Darabana.
What's more than
If
rabbanan?
you make a more than stuff that
Right. It's tough to rabbanan. For some reason, we're going to make it a little bit more than rabbanan, but kriya doesn't have that leniency. So therefore, Shmuel was machmir like Rabbi ben Beseira as far as kriya.
We consider Kriya D'Oraisa?
No,
Still D'Oraisa.
it's also rabbanan, but over there we're not mekel.
I see.
That's what it
I mean,
seems.
I can hear because if the din of a parent and the other, the parent or other relatives, the law is you can't fix the.
He's not talking about that. He's talking
the-
about the rule. Do we say that you make it by avelus or not? He's not going to say because this particular
Right, no,
thing.
I'm
He's,
trying to say, I'm trying to understand the chumrah and because
that he
the
has to
parent-
do a kriya for each one. We're not going to.
Okay.
We're not. The Gemara right now talks about, do you say a generality to be mekel? So he says no.
No.
If there's a machlokas over here, so don't tell me.
No, because you can't fix the parent one professionally, and you can't fix the other.
You're going into the details.
And
Of
then
you're going into the details of the
same there.
machlokas. That's not what the Gemara's issue is. The Gemara's issue is not how come Rabbi ben Beseira argues, and this. It's going that after everything's over. There's a Tanakam and Rabbi ben Beseira. What do you pass me like? So it doesn't go with the rule of being mekel because kriya is different.
And it was just the general rule of Shmuel is to be mekel.
Only by Avedis, but not by other
Kriya.
Kriya. Right.
Kriya
The first
is
wide
outside.
line, Adechan Korea. So here it doesn't mean how big does the Kriya have to be. We had that already before. Shakrov is a tefach, parents says Achekal Slibo. The point is here is going to say that when he wants to be mosif more and more, till how far is it still considered a Kriya? How much can he tear? And it's still, we're going to say it has to be something on top of the beged. So after that, it's not called a Kriya anymore, even to be mosif, because it's not the makam of Kriya. Kriya has to be towards the top of the beged. Let's see what it says. Here it says, Adechan Korea Atibura. He could continue to make more and more Kriya, to make the Kriya bigger and bigger and bigger until the navel. After the navel, it's not called the Kriya. That's not the place of Kriya. Kriya
Going
is
downwards. you're talking about.
right, only at the top half of the beged from the collar down. But after the tibur, after the navel, that area is not anymore called a place of kriya. The yeshom madiba, some say even less, only till the heart. After that, it's not called a kriya. And on this point of libo, tear your heart. Of course, it's a drash. The Gemara says it's not even it's a zeichel adaber. It's not even a raya. It means tear your heart means that the kriya until the heart, that's called the kriya. But after that, it's not called the kriya. Not called the kriya
I
anymore.
thought it starts at the heart. No, the cat doesn't start at the heart, it starts higher than the heart.
Yes. So that was the person. That was a mandamba that says alavu. Libo machlokas Tanakama says atiburo. That's how it seems to be Allah. The Brisa continues about the Tanakama. Igil tiburo. If he already had reached, means that he tore the garment a bigger and bigger and bigger. Whatever reason he was tearing kriya, and it came till the tabor. Now he has to tear more for some reason, so he has to start another tear. So how far? So how much does he have to separate from the first one? Machet shalosh as both for korea. So he tears a second tear, and he distances 3 finger breadths from the first one that it should be considered a second kriya, and then he can continue a second. Can do a second tear. He's tearing. He has a lot of reasons to tear. This person has a lot of tzaras. He has a lot of problems, and he's tearing a lot. So he tore one tear, and he was most of it got till the taboo. So now he can't. He has another reason to tear. Now he can't tear it bigger. It's too late. It's too much of it. So he starts and tears another tear, but he can't do it 1 inch away. It has to be 3 asbos away from the first one, and then he could continue tearing that more and more. And then if he needs another kriya, another 3 asbos away. It's theoretical. Baruch Hashem, Hashem should help.
Yeah.
In the Smali Malafanav, he finished also the whole front of his garment is already torn. Machzir lachor, he could turn it up backwards and then tear again. The Smali Malamala of Chol Malamata, then you also could tear it, you turn it upside down, the bottom to the top, and they can still tear. But to tear at the bottom of the garment is not considered a kriya, or the sides, it has to be up in front of him. Ella Sheba Kohen Gadol Tor Milamata. Kohen Gadol doesn't do kriya. Kohen Gadol, he's not allowed to do avelus even on the 7 relatives. A Kohen, yes, on 7 relatives, the Kohen Gadol not. But he does do something. Tor Milamata, he does tear something on the bottom of the garment,
Okay.
even though it's not a real kriya, but it's something that he should show some kind of a symbolic to the relatives that died.
And just one, maybe the idea that he's doing so many times kriya is because he's doing on each time is a chacham or rebbe.
Okay. The Gemara starts a new sugya. The following is going to be a machlokas between these 2 rabbanim, Rav Matan and Bar Ukva. Each one said that he's saying in the name of Avu, the Shmuel, and Levi. What do they say? Chadam Makol Shiva Korea, Lacha Shiva Mosif. V'chadam Makol Shloshim Korea, Lacha Shloshim Mosif. All the lachs we had till now about being Mosif, that it's enough just to add on. It doesn't have to be a new kriya. It doesn't have to be extending the first kriya. So it's limited. According to one Madam, it's only after Shiva. If it will be within Shiva, then he has to tear a new Kriya. Even if we said, let's say the Mikdash, maybe the Mikdash is different, but maybe that's different. But on the halacha where it says about relatives, the father, the son, even if you hold that you're allowed to be Mosif, it's only after Shiva. If the second relative, the second reason why he's tearing is within 7 days of the first one, so then it's not enough to do. That means it's still considered the first one. Still, the first one is still intense and effective. It's still just going to be considered that he's tearing more the first kriya. So the halacha is allowed to be Mosif. It's only if it's after Shiva of the first kriya. Some said the others hold that it only can be Mosif after 30 days of the first kriya. But if it's within the 33 of the first kriya, you can't just be Mosif. You'd have to make a new kriya.
I got lost.
There's a dim we said a few times that is enough to be Mosif. He doesn't have to make a new tear. He can just be Mosif. Now the Gemara is limiting it. It's only if it's after Shiva or after Shloshim. Not locus. One says only after Shiva. After Shiva he could be Mosif, but within Shiva he can't because it's still considered part of the first tier. And some say not even that, even Shloshim. Within Shloshim he can't be Mosif. He'd have to make a new tier, even if it will be a relative that is allowed to be Mosif on, but only after Shloshim. Let's say a sister, and then he has about a brother. So if it's within 30 days, according to the second mandama, the first mandama says 7. It seems like we pass him that if it's within 7 days of the first one, then he'd have to be a new kriya, even though he'd be allowed to be Mosif usually. But yes, since within Shiva, he's not allowed to. And one says Shloshim. Maski Flar B'Zleir, mandama called Shiva Korea, Amai, the Lonitin L'Shololo, Allah Damamau, Isha Shol Alto L'Alto, Hanami. He has a kasha. The one who says that it's not considered, it can't be Mosif within 7 days. Why is that? Because within 7 because within 7 days he's not allowed to be sholo. We said even a basting, even a loose kind of stitching is also within the first 7 days, and that's why it's still considered that it's still the original tear, and therefore to be Mosif wouldn't be considered a new tearing. But by a woman, I can say that it's different. The law is that a woman is allowed to be sholo right away because of tznius. So I'm going to say that then she could make us tosefet even within Shiva. He says no. Hasam mishum kvod isha over there. Really, you're not allowed to be Mosif. Over there, really, you're not allowed to be Mosif, even by a woman. It's only because of her tznius. But it is considered that the original tear is still effective and is still there, intense, and therefore it wouldn't be considered a kriya if he only would be Mosif on it. And the other kasha also, a different direction. By how come the Madam says that after 30, the difference between before 30 and after 30 is because within 30 it's also to be ma'acheh by Shar Krovim. And that's why the first kriya is still intense. And anything that he does add to it is only going to be nitpal. It's only going to be adding on to the original one. If that's so, then by a father and mother that is not allowed to be ma'acheh forever, are you going to say that he's never allowed to be Mosif? We said before in the brisa that Tanakama says after a father then a son, he could be Mosif. You're saying that it shouldn't be considered the Otosefet because it's still Asal Achoso. The more it says, really, there's no real din not to be Ma'achet. It's only that he should, the father honor his father, his mother, so it's an extra din. But really, it is Mutar Achoso. Be'etzem, it would have been Mutar. So it is considered, the Kriya is over already. As far as a mother, he shouldn't ever prepare it permanently, professionally. But really, the Kriya is over, that's why he could be Mosif. Tana Rabbanan, the rest of the Gemara is easier. Tana Rabbanan, someone that someone is chayiv to be korea for, but he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to lose the money. He doesn't want to lose the value of his garment. So he takes a torn garment and he goes in front of the mace as if he tore, especially for this mace. Really, it was an old torn garment already. So he's fooling everybody. He's doing injustice to the dead and to the living. That he's like Gnei Bezdas. He didn't do the honor to the dead and he didn't do the honor to the living. He's fooling them as if to say that he cares about the mace. He really didn't. If somebody borrowed a garment and he told the owner of the garment, I'm going to visit my father who's sick, it means deathly sick. And he knows that the lender knows that he's going to go and his father might die. So the halach is if he gave him permission to tear a garment. He found his father died, he's chayav kriya, korea. He's allowed to tear it, even though it's not his garment. He's allowed to tear it because the person gave him permission. And he has to repair it professionally. And then he has to return it, and he has to pay the difference, even though he gave him permission to return it, to tear it and repair it. But he has to give him the difference between a good garment and a repaired garment, even though it's professionally repaired, but it's still worth less. Yes, but he got permission, but only he has to professionally prepare it and also repair it, and also pay him the difference of how much it was worth
Does
originally.
he have to make a condition at the time of the borrowing?
No, that's what it means. That if he knew, he told him that I'm going to visit my father, who was deathly sick. So that's what understood that he's giving him permission.
He has to be a
Well,
Talmud Chacham to know that. Not everybody knows.
everyone knows that he tears Kriya on the father. He should have told him, this is my garment, don't take it. If he didn't tell him that he's going to visit his father, he's not allowed to do anything to it because he didn't get permission.
It's not
He
his
didn't get
family,
permission. It's not his. He doesn't tear Kriya. Tana Rabbanan, Chodesh Shemes Lo Meis. If a person who's sick, a serious sickness,
Okay.
and it's dangerous for him to find out about the death of a relative, so don't tell him. If Chodesh Shemes Lo Meis, a sick person that a relative died, Ein Modian also Shemes. Don't tell the sick person that that his relative died. Because he's going to get confounded, whatever the word is, and it's dangerous for him. And also, don't make any kind of a sign that he should realize that somebody died. Don't tear his beged, and if the women are crying, don't keep them away from him.
Wow.
Keep it a secret that he shouldn't know that a relative died. That is a din that a katan who's a avel, even though there's no din avelus on a katan, he's a katan, he's not chayv in avelus, but we do tear his garment in order to make the other people feel bad. It's most of the agmas nefesh of the relatives of the people that is a young yaso. So even if it's very young, on the contrary, that causes agmas nefesh. So they tear a beggar of the katan.
Have you seen that? I don't remember seeing that. Yeah.
Any katan is a yaso, which really doesn't have to tear kriya. They do it only agmas nefesh of the people. That a person is supposed to tear kriya for his father-in-law, mother-in-law because of the honor of his wife, even though he's not a relative. And the poskim say this has to do with halacha before about kol shemisabel Allah misabel imo, and only in front of her it would seem. And then this the Ramah says same as before that the minig Ashkenazim is to be mochel, and therefore people don't do abelis in front of the wife, even when she's in front of her, and therefore also there's no kriya in the minig Ashkenaz. It's only because of mochel. The minig din of the Gemara is they're supposed to, but the Ashkenazim say that it's only because of the cover of the wife, and she's mochel, and therefore they don't take kriya. But Allah really is that it should. It says in Maseches Mochos that an Avel should not put a child in his lap. And Ben Hanan says in front of people, because it's going to cause him to laugh, to smile, like when a person holds a child. And that doesn't look good. It looks at by in front of the people that he doesn't care about the Avelis. He's smiling and laughing. So that's the wrong attitude towards Avelis. So a person should not hold the tinik, at least in public. Here doesn't say, but the reason that Ein was gone out of Bio sounds because people see him like that. And let's point out that Ben Hanan, he says, it sounds only in public that this halach applies because he shouldn't smile or something, and it looks like he's not concerned about Avelis.
I don't know if it says smile or laugh.
It says laugh.
I think if when someone's sitting shiva, they're allowed to smile to greet someone who comes in. No,
Okay, but
it's just not a huge smile, not a big laugh. No.
Good. Okay.
Katan.